Hey everyone, Chris here from AV Magazine, and welcome to another AV conversation. Today I'm joined by George Birchall. He's Vice President Marketing at Epiphan. Welcome, George.
Thanks, Chris. It's nice to be here.
So, I guess primarily the reason or excuse for getting the opportunity to chat with you is upon the occasion of the release of your Nexus product, which we'll get to in a minute. Um, but I'd also like to use this opportunity to get a better understanding of Epiphan, where you've come from, where you're going. So I thought I might start there. Could you give us the Epiphan origin story and just get us a little bit more of an understanding of you as a business?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd be happy to. You can see I'm surrounded by all this cool technology, which we get to talk about on a daily basis. And there's all kinds of stories about where these products have come from and where they've been. In fact, we have roots developing really mission critical video capture equipment. You'll still find aboard the International Space Station a device that looks kind of like this capture card here, used around capturing video in space. And we would have other capture equipment in underwater exploration in the Arctic or in wind tunnels and other really serious places where people really care about capturing video and making sure that they never miss a frame. So that's kind of where we started from. But for the last few years, we've transitioned a bit more into some of the spaces that you're probably more familiar with, especially into education spaces like the University of Western Sydney, or in the conference centers around Australia, like Melbourne and in Sydney as well. So a lot of different spaces we are playing in right now, but ultimately we do capturing a video, recording a video, and streaming a video, and we do all those things very well. So that's kind of our bread and butter.
What's Epiphan's focus these days? Like it's what um, stands out to me with Epiphan is the longevity of your products. You've got some product there on the table there. Like you can tell me how old, like how long have some of that product been on the market? This is not a criticism. I think it's like a hallmark of Epiphan that your product is powerful enough and the return on investment seems to be pretty extreme, and your firmware updates, are kind of met by your users like, Christmas Day when a new firmware update arrives.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because on one hand, when you're in the business of marketing and selling products, you don't necessarily want products to last forever. But that is what we have ended up with here, in that we do tend to make products that last a very long time. So the line that most people talk about in that regard is our Pearl series here. You can see one, two, three, four different models here, with Nexus being the newest device here, which we'll talk about. And they're designed to run every day, all day. And so we'll have devices where we'll check the logs on them, and they will have been turned on a year and a half ago and never lost power in that time. So that's the kind of reliability our customers expect. So over time, yes, we do get devices in the field that will last for 5 years or 7 years or 10 years. And it's the same with our capture cards. You can look through our YouTube archive and see us trying to drive over these, light them on fire, do whatever we can to try to test their durability, which is fun from a marketing perspective, but it's also nice to show customers that we make things that last a long time.
So I guess revisit the start of my attempt at a question was, wow, what's
You were
what's
asking
Epi
sort of where we are.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, where are you at now? How would you describe the market where you're at now?
sure. I mean, I talked about all those mission critical applications off the top, but most of the places we are now, the focus is less about mission critical video capture. At least it's not described as such. It's often described as environments where people want an automated video capture experience. So you can think of a lecture hall within a university where a faculty member wants to be able to come in and record and stream that content, but they don't want to have to think about the technology. They don't want to have to interact with that technology. So that's an environment where you just want things that are going to work all the time. And that's really what we've been catering to, just automated hardware that just works all the time. usually has some interface with cloud and some good management tools so that people behind the scenes can make sure that all of their equipment is running smoothly. So when we think about products, we're always thinking about those two users in place. The people who are in the rooms making that content, well, we want them to have a delightful experience where they don't have to think about pushing buttons or managing equipment or worrying in any way that things are going sideways. And then also the people behind the scenes who have to manage all kinds of things with their job. They've got rooms and rooms and rooms of equipment and things to take care of. We want them to have good administrative and management portals so they can just know that everything's online and working.
Which leads us neatly to Nexus. So it's clearly differentiates itself even by looking at it. It's a rack mount product. So do you want to tell us a little more about
Sure,
what led to the development of Nexus?
absolutely. So we have, as I mentioned, as part of our Pearl family of products, you have the very first Pearls are Pearl 2 here, and then you have Pearl Nano and Pearl Mini, and this is Pearl Nexus. And from a functional point of view, they all share a lot of similar traits in that they can capture video, which means you can connect really any kind of camera input to it. So whether it's an SDI camera, HDMI, USB, if you want to do networked cameras like NDI, you can connect those as well. And then additionally, you'll find on most of them, you can connect professional audio as well. So you'll see XLR inputs. And, we like to say, whatever you can throw at it, there's a way to get it in here. That's one of the hallmarks of our product line. And Nexus follows suit in that same vein. And then once you've got all of those camera signals in the room, so maybe it's set up in a lecture capture environment or in a court system, or in a municipal government setting, or in a convention center. You're going to connect everything in that space to this device. And then from there, you can get that content anywhere you need to get it. And in a lot of cases, like an educational setting, which is really the focus of this newest Pearl Nexus, the customers are using this device to capture all of that footage and then send it directly to a CMS like Panopto or Kaltura or User or anywhere they house all of their video online. They might also be connecting it to a Teams or Zoom environment as well. So this is kind of like their switchboard operator that lets them get their video anywhere they need to get it. And you'll find this installed in a lot of schools. There's over 500 academic institutions who rely on our Pearl in their lecture capture environments. And this will be in a lectern, maybe at the front of the room with some other equipment like audio equipment and other things that need to happen in that space. And quite often it would be controlled by some kind of touch panel environment. So faculty can come into the room, they see a touch panel, says start my recording, start my live stream, and then they don't have to think about it. So that's kind of the idea behind Nexus. It sits behind the scenes, it does what it needs to do, and it does very well. So that's what people seem to like about it.
And is it so? Have you already sold quantities into the market? Is Australia seeing any units yet?
It's just beginning to ship right now. So by the time your viewers will watch this, these will be out in the wild. And I can say the demand so far has been a bit frothy, which is great, what we like to see. So now we're trying to keep up with that demand because in a lot of cases, people will buy 5 of them or they'll buy 1 of them and test it out and make sure they like it. And then they go, great. Now I want to install this in 37 courtrooms, or I want to install it in 24 meeting spaces or presentation environments. So typically our customers who are looking at this product are themselves thinking about scaling their video. There's a lot of ways to set up one environment like a studio like this. There's a lot of ways to set it up so that I can have great video recorded and streamed. But if you're trying to set up many spaces like this, or many, if you've got 20 rooms or 100 rooms, customers are looking for things that they can just reliably manage, put it in place, and know it's going to work all the time.
Hmm. Here's a bit of a question without notice, George. Like COVID um, changed everything for many people, and there were plenty of winners and plenty of losers. It felt like Epiphan was a big winner out of COVID. I'm not saying that, Epiphan was celebrating the fact that
Yeah,
COVID
yeah, yeah,
existed, but
yeah.
it certainly changed your business. It must have changed your business to a degree about, seeing new demand, new markets opening. Is that true, or is it really just old friends wanting more stuff?
Well, I'd say both are true, and that you had a lot of people who were doing some video in their organization and suddenly realizing they had to do a lot more video. And then you had other institutions like churches who suddenly found themselves realizing they had to choose video, otherwise they couldn't do business whatsoever. Schools were in the same boat too. They said it's video or bust. So there was those customers as well. And yes, of course, it was a fortunate time for us in that we had a lot of solutions for people to help them stream and record their video. Um, and there's still new challenges for those schools and places today because now they're finding, some schools are scaling back video in a way that uh, they weren't doing during the pandemic, or they're pivoting again. So we're still seeing that that plane has not landed. There is not like a common solution that everybody is going with. I'm sure, it will settle
Mm,
in the next couple of
mm.
years. Actually, I should say it's not going to settle. It never settles. It's always changing and changing and changing.
And I guess wrapped up in the question I'm about to ask you about trends in the future, is it surprising that um, I guess, software-based systems, streaming systems, PC-based platforms haven't kind of eaten away at your market more? Is it, when you sort of look at this, your SWOT analysis of Epiphan, like what 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 are the threats, I guess, for Epiphan from just, having a huge kind of server sitting in a air conditioned space doing all of the streaming?
Well, I'm generally optimistic in life, and I'm pretty excited about what I'm seeing as an opportunity that lays in front of us. And that with such a demand for video capture right now, like that demand is skyrocketing right now. And it's not so much to do with what we're doing. I wish it was the case, but it's more to the fact that there's so much more value in video. So, for example, after this recording that we're going to do today, you can edit this entire video by transcript. You can take this video and make 4 cuts from it, and you can do all of that through AI.
Mm,
So the whole looming AI, not looming, present AI capabilities around what you can get out of a video
mm,
means all of the content that we're doing right now that we're maybe
mm,
not recording video on, people are saying, well, why aren't we recording this? So I think there's going to be this mind shift of people saying, we should probably record this just in
mm,
case, because I don't know what I'm
mm,
going to want to get out of it, but there's probably something good that happens out of it.
mm.
And if I know I can boil down, this boring 1.5 hour meeting next Tuesday into a 3-minute video, I'm like, oh, please record that boring 1.5 hour meeting because I really want to
Yeah,
watch the 3-minute summary of it. So those are
sure.
the kinds of applications that get me thinking about it. And in
Mm,
those cases, you need easy to use equipment just like anything else. Like you don't want to be setting up cameras and lights and doing all of this production. Otherwise, you know this. You don't make video unless it's kind of convenient. So I'm still confident that people are going to want whatever it is, the easiest way to actually create that video.
yeah, that is fascinating once you take out the fact that traditionally, hard drive space and time for somebody to edit, you know, editing an hour long video might take you 4 hours, but if AI is helping you to make it as simple as I don't know, something really simple to do, and
Yeah,
be able to
yeah.
share it through your channels, yeah, that is exciting stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
I've heard from a lot of schools who we talked about schools trying to figure out what to do now after, COVID, and maybe they don't need to capture all that video. Well, the biggest people to push back have been the students saying, no, 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 that video was incredible. It let me, not have to take notes during a classroom session or be able to review footage and So anybody involved in learning understands this huge power behind capturing all this video. And so the students were the ones saying, no, 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 we really, really, really want that video. That's what we're hearing from our AV people who are in place.
Mm,
They're trying to be responsive to those students.
mm. Are there any other, I guess, opportunities out there, do you think, for a company like Epiphan to, apart from, I guess, sort of AI and I guess having a sort of a society where we're always on and the camera's always switched on, which is kind of scary, but let's just park that and assume that that's a good thing for all of us. Um, are there more markets? I guess as things become more cost effective, and I've noticed here, for example, amateur sports clubs. I was just even thinking, imagine if you got a bridge club, for example, or Dungeons and Dragons club or whatever. Like, why wouldn't you? It's not hard to stream games and conventions. That's just one small example, but like, are you seeing from where you're sitting, I guess, just an ever expanding kind of market for video capture?
Yeah, I think you summarized it pretty well, just talking about some of the more arcane things that we have in life that even in those environments they still want video. And we're seeing places like we had a library come in and tell us that they built an entire production studio for their community to come in and make content, which is just such a wonderful thing because who has access to a studio environment in a community? Well, nobody, unless you have a lot of money. So to be able to make
Mm,
that, democratize that idea of making video, I thought that was really powerful. And so I'm hearing lots of other community groups who are wanting spaces and equipment available for people to make video. That's again just one example. And then there's, like you said, there's a million crazy sports. I found a sport where people their 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 goal is to keep the balloon up. Okay, you know that game you play at a birthday party, you keep the balloon up, right? You trip over the ottoman and stuff like that. Somebody gets hurt. Well, they professionalize that. And there's a whole league operated out of South America where they do all of this sporting and it looks like ESPN, it's very professionally done. But everywhere you turn, there's some other sport that I don't know about that is suddenly becoming huge on YouTube or some niche channel OTT network as well. So
mm,
applications, we could go all day on
sure.
the many applications that people are using video for. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to leave it there so I can get onto YouTube and see if I can find the keepy uppy balloon video.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
it's worth a minute.
so, look, I appreciate your time, George. Thanks for showing us around your new baby. Look forward to seeing it in the flesh, and hopefully get to run into you at Infocom. And I'm sure you're going to
We'll be there.
have a
We'll be
bit of
there. Yeah.
hoopla. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, well, we'll leave it there. Thanks, George, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Nice to see you.